Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of Irish Nerdcast, the podcast where we talk about all your favourite nerdy topics, from creepy animatronics to pizza. I'm JoJo.
And I'm Hannah, and today, if you couldn't guess, we're going to be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's.
Woo!
Okay, this is very much going to be a Hannah-led episode. If you've not seen the title already, I am referring to this as a crash course in Five Nights at Freddy's. This might be something we'll do more so in the future with topics that we are both, maybe one is more knowledgeable about than the other, such as Five Nights, because I have been a observer of FNAF culture since it began 10 years ago, and you know nothing.
I know very little about FNAF. I know it's about creepy animatronics. I know there's several games. I know there's a movie.
Yep.
It's in a pizzeria.
Yes. 10 points.
And I know it was really popular for streaming. A lot of people got famous doing Let's Plays of it.
Yeah, it launched quite a few careers. More accurately, I think it reaffirmed a lot of careers. Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie amongst them. It was very much... It's very much a game that is like good for content, especially in the era of Schadenfreude, which was 2014, 2016, when these games were coming out left, right, and center.
Yeah, and I didn't really get into stuff like this because I don't do well with horror or any sort of jump scares.
The thing is, I don't either.
That's why you haven't played it either.
No, they are sitting in my Steam basket as we speak, though. But I have watched a lot of FNAF content. I have played one of the games. I have played Security Breach with my brother.
Does that count?
Yes.
Okay.
It does. Right. It is a mainline title. But I have... The best way for me to absorb scary content, be it horror games like FNAF or scary movies, anything like that, is watching other people do it, because if they're still alive to the point where they can upload the video to YouTube, I'm gonna be fine.
So what's your excuse for taxes?
Listen, the government and haunted animatronics are two very different things. One of them is real. So
right, you've prepared slides for me.
I have a presentation.
This we'll try to be mindful of the people listening.
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking at these slides and giving my opinion, I guess, or asking questions.
Yep.
I'm here to absorb and just react. And we'll see
how this goes.
Yeah. Just before we get into it, though, do want to put out a couple of statements, just because of the last couple of weeks and things have been...
awkward.
Yeah, there's been a few things that's happened. We haven't been as active on social media, or I haven't been as active on social media. And it was just a lot of stuff happened. The computer I use for all of our production, it's a little bit old now, so it needs a lot of TLC. It had to get a fresh install of Windows because Microsoft have announced that they are ending support for Windows 10. And there's too much on my computer to risk anything security-wise, so the clean install was necessary to keep my security updates. I initially didn't like Windows 11, but it's actually been running really well recently.
You're getting used to it?
Yeah, everything's faster, everything's a little bit cleaner.
But it did mean you had to reinstall a lot of programs.
Everything had to get reinstalled, and it took a lot of time. The other thing is this episode is new settings for our
recording software.
We'll see how it turns out. It might be improved in terms of audio quality. It'll be different anyways, but we'll see if it's better or worse.
Yeah, bear with us because, again, our schedule has been really messed up by not just the clean install, but a number of other factors. So we're doing our best to get back on top of things. So thanks for your patience and for your listening.
And so with that, I guess we shall begin.
Yeah, we were saying just before we started recording, I feel like I'm back in college. I feel like I'm about to defend my work on this research topic I have chosen. But yeah, without further ado, this is the Five Nights at Freddy's Crash Course presented by me. So we're going to start at the beginning. I hear it's a good place to start with the original Five Nights at Freddy's.
The original, I'm assuming, has like the most exposure.
Yeah, it's what people will likely think of. This is also what the film was based on in terms of visuals, was the original Five Nights. So if you are unfamiliar, and I know that you are, Five Nights at Freddy's was created by American game developer Scott Cawthon.
Okay.
It was released officially on Steam on August 18th, 2014. It was actually put up first on Steam Greenlight earlier that month, but got its official Steam release on the 18th. So that's why if you look on YouTube for the original Markiplier Let's Plays, it predates the official release date because it was a Greenlight project.
Yeah. Okay. So it's got its start by
it's as indie as we can get, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Which it no longer is.
No, it's one of the things I'm fascinated about this franchise. But yeah, so the concept behind Five Nights was inspired by the bad reviews Cawthon received on his previous game.
So he did make other games apart from this.
Yeah, he actually made Christian games.
Yeah, this seems very Christian.
Yeah, so one of those games is still available to play called The Desolate Hope. But the game in which he received the bad reviews was about a family of logging beavers named Chip and Sons, and the reviews were really bad on it. The gameplay was lacking, etc., etc. And one of the more damning bits of criticism that it got was that the character designs looked like creepy animatronics.
Okay, well, it looks like he's good at doing creepy animatronics then.
Yeah, and so
unintentionally.
After what I believe he has quoted as a crisis of faith, where he considered giving up everything to do with the games industry, he decided one last hurrah. We're going to, do our best to play to his strengths, essentially, and that is Five Nights.
I guess he's very happy he did that.
Yeah. So the concept of the game is that you are the new night security guard at Freddie Fazbear's Pizza, and throughout the night, of which there are normally 5, you are beset on by 4 haunted animatronics.
Wait, I remember something in... we did a... Oh, this might be a spoiler, I don't know. When I was in a table quiz for...
In which I wrote the horror questions.
Yeah, there wasn't 5 nights?
There are technically 7, but we will get to that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so its name is a bit of a...
It's a bit of a misnomer.
Yeah, it's a bit misleading.
Yeah, the main game is Five Nights. But yeah, as we mentioned earlier, it became iconic for its jump scares, very simple mechanics. It's a point and click. And for the sound design. The sound design is one of the things that really gets the scares going.
Right, okay. Oh, actually, why does a pizzeria need a security guard?
Well, we will get to that.
You must be thinking easy work.
I mean, kind of, yeah. It's a minimum wage paying job, which we'll get to.
Just sit in a pizzeria, have a few slices.
You would think, yeah.
Play on your DS or whatever you have at the time.
Exactly. Well, actually, no, he wouldn't have had a DS at this point. But again, we'll touch on when this is set. But yes, it became a very popular game to Let's Play, and there's a lot of internet. Even then, when the first game came out, there are a bunch of theories as to a grander storyline beyond the 5 nights that you play. So let's talk about our main characters, the animatronics.
Okay, we got Bunny, Ducky, Barry, and Foxy.
One of those is correct.
Okay. Well, actually, no. I think the bear's called Faz.
The bear is Freddie.
Freddie Fazbear.
Yes.
Yeah, Freddie. Okay.
It is. He is Freddie Fazbear of Freddie Fazbear's Pizza. You are not the only person to think that this one here is a duck, though. I remember watching the original Five Nights series being played by Achievement Hunter back in 2014, and they kept calling her a duck. That's Chica, the chicken.
Chicken. Yeah, well, you eat chicken, I guess.
Yeah. And then we also have Bunny the bunny.
And it's not a chicken, it's a chick, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Because
she's yellow.
Yeah, because descriptions of these, they're animatronics, they look like they would be cuddly, soft-ish.
Yeah, it's very much inspired by the likes of Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. And there's a big purple rabbit with a guitar.
A bass guitar. He's a bass player.
Oh, it is a bass guitar. Okay.
Yeah, they're in a band, or at the very least, Freddie, Chica, and Bonnie are in a band in which Freddie, see, he's got a microphone. He's our lead singer. Bonnie is our bass player, and Chica is here.
Yeah. And Chica, the duck chick-looking thing, has a bib.
Let's eat.
Which is so weird. And a
cupcake.
Cupcake with a face.
Yep. My favorite character of Five Nights movie.
The cupcake is a character.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's just called the cupcake, but yeah, spoilers if you've not seen the movie. The cupcake is my favorite thing.
We also haven't talked about the fox.
The fox, that's Foxy. The fox.
Okay, so I was right.
Foxy the fox, he lives in Pirate Cove.
Arr.
Yeah, there is a series of memes in which, because Foxy's main mechanic is that he is hiding in Pirate Cove, and if you don't listen out for him, he will run down the corridor and jump scare you. He's a runner. Where everybody else like creeps up on you slowly. And there's a meme of him running down the corridor with Swiggity Swooty coming for that booty.
What?
And they put that in later games where they had voice acting, and Pirate Foxy is like, I be coming for that booty. It mean treasure, don't you know? Like, they just fully... I love this franchise so much. But you might have noticed as we were talking, a change has happened in these slides. Because there are not 4 animatronics. There are 5. This is Golden Freddy, the one that nobody sees coming.
I'm confused.
So there are in fact 5 animatronics in the original Five Nights, but Golden Freddy is kind of an Easter egg. They are not present in terms of like the initial visuals. You are not told about them up front. The most you get is like little flashes of them every so often.
What's even happening with this thing?
Well, as you'll notice, it's not standing up. It is essentially Freddy but yellow, referred to as Golden Freddy. And it's just kind of like crumpled over on himself.
It's a pair of legs, a pair of arms, and a head. I don't see anything
There is a
else.
torso behind all of it. He's just kind of crumpled, sat down.
Okay.
And we'll get to why, because there's lore implications. Speaking of, let's talk about the lore. So,
also, I hate the fact that you just have Freddy's face in the background of these slides constantly looking at me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a horror game. Get uncomfortable. All right. So, here are some things to note going forward for every game. These are things that we got to keep in mind as we go. So, each night begins at 12 a.m. and ends at 6 a.m. So, you have 6 hours to survive.
Oh, I've just 6 hours to live. Cool.
6 hours to live. Each night starts with a recorded message from the phone guy. The phone guy is...
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it on and off again?
The greatest thing about the phone guy is that he's voiced by Scott Cawthon.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, because again, shoestring budget, did it all by himself. And it became so iconic. So if you've ever heard audio that starts with, hello, 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 welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, that's Scott Cawthon as the phone guy, who only got a name this year in one of the books. So that's why I'm just referring to him as phone guy, because that's what he's known as.
Don't suppose you know his name?
It's Ralph.
Ralph and IT?
Yeah, right. Ralph, your trainer. So phone guy mentions on the very first night, refers to an event called the Bite of 87, in which an animatronic bit through a person's frontal lobe.
What the Oh my god.
And this is why you're here as a night guard. Because the animatronics, due to their technologies, walk around the pizzeria looking for things and people.
Is it too late to hand in my resignation?
Yes, because on night 4, it's revealed that the messages were all pre-recorded and Phone Guy was killed by the animatronics some time ago.
Spoiler.
Night 4. Like, again, spoilers for a 10-year-old game.
Hey, I've managed not to get spoiled.
So that's Phone Guy. And as we mentioned earlier, there are technically 7 nights. The main 5, which is the main story of the game, we can argue. An additional 6th night, which is your overtime. And a custom night, which is the 7th night. So in that one, you can set the aggro levels of each of the animatronics. And it's only by completing the 7th night do you technically get the full ending. And that's where Golden Freddy is more likely to show up.
Fair. Okay.
Custom nights become a very important thing later on. So the player, you are named Mike Schmidt, and you are fired after night 7.
Oh, you didn't do a good enough job staying alive?
Nope, clearly not. There are posters seen via the cameras because you have the security cameras that you are checking throughout the pizzeria. And so there are posters on the walls of like Freddie and the gang, children's drawings, things like that. And they will occasionally change to newspaper articles talking about a series of child disappearances called the Missing Children's Incident, which ultimately led to a pizzeria being closed down over sanitation concerns.
I guess guys' brains on ground is a bit of a sanitary issue.
Mm-hmm. As mentioned earlier, there are a couple of Easter eggs that will let the player know that Golden Freddy's about to turn up. One of them is the phrase, "It's me." So, like, the posters will change to say, "It's me," and then Golden Freddy will appear.
Joy. Actually, to know what I'm getting into here.
That was my only jump scare of the Golden Freddy thing. There's not going to be any more.
No, is this a review of every single game, or is this just
No,
overall?
I'm just giving you the core info. These are important things to know for when we get to the next one.
Okay, I was just wondering, just like, how long will I be here? An
No,
hour, 2 hours, 4?
You shush. Anyway, the last thing is, you mentioned the Game Boy. Would we have a Game Boy in this case? The game is believed to be set in 1993.
Okay, so we have Game Boy. Not even the color, I don't think.
Not even the color. And the reason we believe that to be the year is that people back engineered it using the in-game paychecks that you get. One of which is here. So you can see this is also how we get our name, Mike Schmidt. And
Nerds.
Yes, that's why we're here. And you can see on the year, the 12th, again, America, it's the 12th of November, but the year is X'd out. But people were able to figure out, you got paid $120 for 5 nights worth of work. That's $40 a night. You were working for 6 hours. That's how many dollars per hour. That aligns with the minimum wage of 1993.
Jesus.
This is what FNAF fans do. So yeah, you also get, when you do the 6th night, you get 50 cents worth of overtime. There's also,
nice,
as we mentioned, Mike gets fired after the 7th night. And I just want to highlight why he was fired. So you can see notice of termination, in brackets, you're fired. I also love the all in lowercase from management. But the reason for your firing...
Oh my God.
Yeah, go on. Do you want to read it out?
Reason. Tampering with the animatronics. Okay. General unprofessionalism and odor.
And odor.
Who was there to smell you?
You mean you gotta swap off with the day shift guy at 6 a.m., I guess.
Why would you go back?
And then here are a couple of the articles that are posted on the walls in relation to like the missing kids incident. So 5 children go missing in total. You'll notice that there are 5 animatronics. And then there's also mention of the pizzeria being closed down over sanitation concerns, one of which is that the animatronics smelled horrendous. So there he is. Bodies were shoved into the animatronics, and that's why the children were never found.
Okay, I'm uncomfortable.
So, based on all that, we can assume that the 5 animatronics that we have in the restaurant are possessed by dead kids.
Okay, sure. Let's go with that.
Five Nights 2.
So this is a review of every game.
Well, the main core pieces of it. So this game was released on November 11th, also in 2014.
In the same year?
In the same year.
Wow.
It was originally supposed to release on December 25th. So it was released over a month early. This is a trend that we will see.
Why? Okay. Interesting that they wanted it to be on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Is this game set in Christmas?
It is not, actually.
Oh. Missed opportunity.
That would make sense. So the game built off the format of the first while adding new mechanics. So it's still point and click, but you have more things to do. So you have a Freddy mask in which to disguise yourself. There's a music box. Yeah, like the animatronics. Yes, you have to put it on and the animatronics go, he's one of us. That's fine.
Yeah, okay, sure.
You've got a music box that you need to keep wound. You've got flashing lights to deter the animatronics. You have vents in which to check in addition to the corridors because that's where the animatronics are coming from. And different animatronics require different deterrents. So what might be good to scare away Bonnie won't scare away Chica necessarily.
Right, okay.
Speaking of, we have new animatronics. We've got the toy animatronics, the withered animatronics, the puppet, and Balloon Boy.
like how many animatronics in total then?
We'll get to that in just a second. It's debated whether or not the withered animatronics are the same ones that we saw back in FNAF 1. So it will give you an indication that there are 4 withered animatronics. But there are notable differences in the 3D models. The reason why it's debated is like, oh, maybe Scott just changed the design slightly to fit better with like the overall theming of the new game. Or maybe there are 2 different sets of animatronics. But it's believed that they are the same.
And what about Golden Freddy? Is he...
Oh, he's still knocking around. Don't worry about him.
All right, great.
So here are the toy animatronics.
I don't like what they've done with Chica here.
They've made her skinny.
Skinny and looks like she's in underwear. Like, what the...
It's worse in every way. Okay. I also hate what they did with Chica, with the toy animatronics. But you can see that, like, they are meant to be overall kind of friendlier looking.
Yeah,
but that makes them scarier.
They look newer. They look like they're not as damaged. So
they're shiny and new.
Yeah.
You might notice, though, that we have Bonnie, Freddie, Chica.
Yeah, but no Foxy.
No Foxy. We do have the Mangle.
What? What is that?
That's the Mangle.
What is that? It's... What? I don't... I can't even describe that.
So what it is, it's half of a Foxy head on a mishmash of limbs and animatronic spines. It has a second head, only one eye, mixed match feet. Do you want to know the in-lore reason of why the Mangle looks this way?
Do I?
Apparently, it is a child interactive element of the pizzeria in which they can take it apart and put it back together.
Okay. And let me guess, he does that to you too?
I mean, they all kind of want to do that to you. But yeah, the Mangle isn't technically part of the toy animatronics, but where the hell else are you going to put him? In fairness.
In the bin?
Mangle's one of the more popular characters. You be silly. Anyway, here are the Withers.
Oh. Yeah, it looks like the first ones, but more damaged, I guess.
Like Bonnie's missing his face. Chica's jaw is permanently locked open.
Yeah, it's definitely creepier.
Yeah, they are terrifying. We also have the puppet.
Okay.
Remember that music box that you got to keep wound?
Yeah, Joy.
Yeah, the puppet is in a box. Jack in the Box type situation. You got to keep the music box wound to keep the puppet inside the box.
Okay.
I love the puppet. The puppet's great.
I don't.
And then we also have Balloon Boy. Nobody likes Balloon Boy.
Balloon Boy looks like a character from Theme Park World that was out a long time ago.
Yes. There are several different iterations of Balloon Boy. Of like, there's JJ and DD and all the rest of it. But like, Balloon Boy is the only one that like I'm giving spotlight to here. Fun fact, if you've ever heard like the child audio of like, hello, like on TikTok or anything, that's the audio of Balloon Boy. So things to note going forward for this game in terms of lore. This is actually a prequel. It's set in 1987, based on the year given in the paychecks.
Did they actually give the year or?
No, they actually give the year this time.
Okay.
Don't forget what happened in 87 based on what we know in the previous game. Someone's lobe about to get bit. So the phone guy is back, but this time his messages are left in real time. And on night 6, the phone guy lets the player know that the pizzeria is being shut down because someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one, which is now causing all of the animatronics to act strangely.
This wouldn't happen to be the Chica, would it?
Not Chica. There is another yellow suit.
Oh, Golden Freddy?
Keep Golden Freddy in your mind. Keep that in the back of your mind for right now.
He was crumpled last time.
Yes. Phone Guy also recommends that the player moved to the day shift as the result of the pizzeria being shut down. So they're not going to need a night shift anymore. You might as well move to the day shift for your last day. So the player takes on the roles of 2 people. The first is a man named Jeremy Fitzgerald, and you play as him through night 1 to night 6. And then on night 7, you play, which is our custom night, you play as Fritz Smith, which ends in his firing again.
He had one night.
So based on all of that information, it's currently believed that Jeremy is the bite of 87 victim.
So the player that you're you're playing as for
Yeah.
the first.
For the first 6 nights.
Okay.
So then you move to day shift and you get bit.
Makes sense. They still want to kill him.
So when the player dies due to a jump scare of like any of the animatronics, you are presented with a death minigame to play, which are like 8-bit style minigames, like very Atari-esque, which depicts parts of the lore. The main ones like show the murdering of the 5 children by somebody called Purple Guy. Again, we're going purely like phone guy, purple guy. We have no names at this stage. So the sprite for him is purple. He's Purple Guy. This is obviously linking to the disappearances mentioned in the first FNAF. And it also shows the puppet giving life to the dead children using the animatronics. And that one ends in a Golden Freddy jump scare. So,
okay.
yeah. So we're going to go through these points a little bit more now. So here we have our paycheck for Jeremy. So you can see that here we have our year, which is 1987.
Getting paid F all.
Absolutely nothing, minimum wage. We also have, here's his last paycheck. And you can see Freddy Fazbear's is closing next to a news article.
Which, this is a prequel.
This is a prequel.
So it's closing, but somehow it's still open?
Freddy Fazbear Entertainment will persist much longer than it should. And then here's our firing for Fitz. And again, do you want to read out the reasons there?
Great, now get out. You're fired. Reasons: tampering with the animatronics, and once again, odor.
Once again, odor.
Okay.
Interesting that comes up twice for 2 different people. And another thing I have, here's Purple Guy.
Yeah, okay, that's creepy.
But notice what's on his lapel.
Something yellow.
Something yellow and badge-shaped. Could that be a security guard badge? That's definitely what was believed at the time.
Okay.
People also thought the object in his hand was a phone, meaning Purple Guy is Phone Guy. That's been proved to be incorrect at this stage, though. And here is the Give Life minigame, in which you can see, because it's Atari-esque, it's very difficult to like kind of make out through the pixels. But here we have the puppet putting the animatronic heads on the dead children, insinuating that it was the puppet that allowed the animatronics to get possessed.
Okay. This is just...
We're only 2 games in. This is the baby shit.
This is already messed up in the head.
Oh, it's very messed up. Let's talk about Five Nights 3 with our new protagonist.
It's great. I'm having difficulty sleeping. What did we do? Look at horror stuff.
So, this game was released on March 2nd, 2015.
Let me guess, came out early?
No, actually, that one came out bang on time, apparently. By all the lore or all the research I was able to do, I did think it came out early in comparison, but I couldn't find like what the original release date was.
Okay.
But again, we've gone August, November, March. It's a very, very short turnaround for 3 games.
Yeah.
So this game is set in Fazbear Fright, which is a horror attraction based off of the pizzerias 30 years ago.
Who thought that would go well?
Who knows at this stage, really? There is only one animatronic in this game by name of Springtrap, who we saw on the previous slide.
Actually, only one animatronic?
Well, there are other jump scares, but they're hallucinations due to one of the things you have to do in the game is like monitor your like oxygen levels essentially. And when those get low, you will have hallucination jump scares of the phantom animatronics.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. It also introduces the audio lure mechanic, which becomes a staple of the later games.
Is that the if you make noise, it finds you thing? Or
Yeah, like if Springtrap gets close to you, you play audio in another room and he will go that direction instead.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. And while previous games had different endings for nights 5, 6, and 7, this was the first one to have specifically a good ending and a bad ending.
I'm assuming the good ending is you live and the bad ending is you die.
Not so, actually.
Okay. Other way around?
So there's Springtrap.
Yeah, that's a zombie bunny.
That is a zombie bunny. What color is he? Well,
I'm assuming green?
he is, based off of the color grading, he does kind of look green, but he is a very, very dirty yellow.
Is he?
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't.
It
doesn't look that from here, but
We had a spare one in the back, a yellow one.
that's just a coincidence, though,
Of
right?
course.
Yeah.
And here are some of our phantom animatronics. all dirty and gross and very, 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 very spooky.
You can barely, yeah, like really dark and hard to see, just mangy and dirty looking, but glowing
Glowing
white
eyes.
Glowing white eyes.
So, things to note going forward. It's assumed that this game takes place in the year 2023, considering it's 30 years after Five Nights 1.
Yeah, fair enough.
So this happened last year, when you think about it. The first two nights...
When the movie came out? Or
The
was that-
movie came out, in 2023.
Yeah, okay.
So the first two nights, we get messages from Phone Dude, who is a employee of Fazbear Frights.
R.I.P. phone guy.
Well, actually, no, because he finds tapes from the pizzeria where they've stolen a lot of the things they have for the attractions, including the tapes from Phone Guy doing the original employee trainings.
Oh my god.
So Phone Guy lives on.
Even though we know he's cannonly
He's
dead.
so dead. So the Phone Guy recordings introduce us to the concept of spring lock suits.
What is a spring lock suit?
Well, a spring lock suit was essentially a suit that doubles as an animatronic, but also like a character suit, like you would have at Disneyland, right? Where people are dressed up as Mickey Mouse, but it's like a giant bulbous head.
So it's an animatronic, but someone can get inside it as well?
Basically, yeah. So
Isn't that already happening with the kids?
Very good point. Yeah, so they're referred to as spring lock suits because that's what locks them onto the animatronic skeletons when a person's not in them. And yeah. And
Kind of clever, actually.
yeah, it's a very interesting concept. However, there is a fatal design flaw, which is they are very, very sensitive and dangerous if exposed to moisture. Like, Phone Guy specifically says, don't breathe on the locks.
What? That's...
Hazard.
Who designs that?
Hazard. So, because Fazbear Frights uses real items taken from the condemned pizzerias, that's how Springtrap was brought there. It was a big moment for Phone Dude being like, we finally got an actual animatronic. I've put it in there for you. And that's how Springtrap starts coming after you.
Yay.
The thing about that, though, is there are, again, more mini games depicting some lore here, except you don't get them when you die. You get them when you live. So that's a nice reversal.
Reward for living.
Exactly. So in each game, the player is taking the role of one of the classic animatronics going around the FNAF 2 location. Sorry, the FNAF 1 location, pardon me. Before being taken apart by...
Oh my god, fake fan.
I know. Before being taken apart by the purple guy.
Whoever this purple guy is.
Whoever this purple guy is. So the game that you get for surviving night 5, you play as a ghost child, and you are joined by the 4 other ghost children, scaring the purple guy into a yellow springlock bunny suit. But because the room that you're in is leaking and there's rain coming through, the locks get damp, the spring locks activate, seemingly killing him.
Jesus.
And that's how we get Springtrap. So Springtrap is the purple guy and the murderer of the missing children.
Okay, and what, the murderer is now dead as well?
He has somehow survived, basically. There is a very notable phrase associated with Springtrap, which is, I always come back. There are other secret mini games that you can find like throughout the game. Performance of those is what impacts the endings that you get. So in the good ending, it shows all of the animatronic heads unlit, implying that the spirits have been released from this purgatory. But the bad ending shows them all lit up, implying that the ghosts are still lingering within them.
Okay.
And then on night 6, the ending states that Fazbear Fright was burnt down, but brightening the image shows the Springtrap survived in the background.
For God's sake.
He always comes back.
This is the bad ending? No, this is night.
That's night 6. That's night 6. So here we have the mini game in which we see Springtrap getting locked into the suit with our ghost kids. So it's a little bit of revenge for them.
Okay. It looks like it was it was a checkered ground with like
Yeah.
what looked like 3 computers in the back. What is
Yeah.
Or are they games arcade? Like
It's a
game
storage
cabinets?
room. It's a storage room, so
Okay.
they could be anything. But yeah, here's our bad ending. We have all of the animatronics with one eye lit up. You can see Golden Freddy there in the background.
Yeah, so they're still there.
They're still there. And then they turn off for the good ending. Isn't it nice? You freed them.
Is it?
Yeah. And then it burns. Fazbear Fright burns to the ground. And if we have a sad Freddie here, but if you brighten up the image, you can see Springtrap in the background.
Oh my god, no.
That brightening images becomes a big part of FNAF lore. That keeps happening.
So play the game with the brightness on max settings?
I will probably do that anyways. And just one last thing before we move off of Five Nights 3. Remember we were talking earlier about Golden Freddy and the weird position that they were in?
The golden child, yes.
Yeah. So given the fact that Golden Bonnie was a Springlock suit, which has now sealed the purple guy inside, it is heavily implied from this point forward that Golden Freddy was also a Springlock suit. But because it doesn't have a animatronic skeleton or a person in there, that's why it's just flumped over.
Right. Okay. Is there a dead person inside it?
There's the ghost, but like there's no body in there as far as we know.
As far as we know.
As far as we know. Anyway, Five Nights 4.
4 for more gore.
Yep.
Wait, what?
So you'll notice immediately from the background that things are going to be a little different this time around.
Okay, so right now we're looking at a bed with a plush teddy on it.
Yep.
Which is Freddie.
Yep. So this game was released in July 15th, 2015. So this was, quick maths, 4 months after FNAF 3 came out.
It's insane that these games are coming out so quick.
Yeah, especially since this was supposed to be released on October 31st.
That is very weird.
It released a full, over 3 months early.
How riddled with bugs are these games, or are they actually...
They're not horrendous. Sometimes there were stability issues, but nothing horrendous as far as I recall.
It's insane that these games are coming out so quickly.
Yeah.
And they just released them early.
Yeah, they already had been people were preparing, especially the theorists, people who were really invested in trying to get all of the lore. They were thinking, oh, we've got plenty of time until the next installment. Nope, 3 months early. Here you go. Figured it out now.
Don't give them time to think about the game.
Exactly. So yes, this has a notable departure because we are no longer in a pizzeria. Do you want to read out the... Your jaw just fully dropped.
I'm oh, these games are horrifying. Then I just read the slide. A notable departure. Player is a small child. You're playing as a child?
Beset by nightmares resembling the core group of animatronics. So rather than your security office, you are in a bedroom.
No.
Yeah. The game starts this time with the 8-bit minigames. So these are our openings to each night as opposed to death minigames or surviving minigames.
I just want to point out,
yeah,
maybe it's just me, but I find 8-bit stuff very unsettling.
Yes. And this series really uses that to its advantage.
I've played games that were 8-bit. I've played games that's 16-bit, etc. But for some reason, 8-bit now, if you're trying to use it to depict a story or depict something, is just sort of unsettling.
Yeah.
Really unsettling.
Yeah. But yeah, in these games, you are the crying child. So noted because you are crying constantly. Who is a kid living close... Yeah, well, we'll get there. Who is living close to a Freddy Fazbear's and is being terrified by the animatronics themselves, and is waiting 5 days until a party. So every time, rather than saying night 1, night 2, whatever, it says 5 days until the party, 4 days until the party.
Oh, countdowns are always the worst.
Countdown. Mm-hmm.
So it's you're counting down to something is already giving you an anxiety and anticipation of something.
Yeah. Successfully completing each night presents another minigame, which progresses the story. And pieces of iconic sound design were changed in this game, which led to further theory crafting in tandem with the minigames. So one of the big ones is, as we've mentioned, each night is from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. And in every game previous to this was the thing that denoted you reaching the 6 a.m. marker and, surviving, was the sound of a grandfather clock.
Okay.
A grandfather clock chime going do 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 do, and like children going yay, right?
Creepy as fudge.
Yes.
Fudge.
In this game, it's not the grandfather clock, it's an electronic beeping sound.
Like a dee 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 dee.
Yeah, like a dun, 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 like a really bad alarm clock, basically.
Okay.
And so
I'm sure that sounds great on the podcast.
yeah, it sounds so good, I bet. But yeah, it says keep this in your brain pockets for later.
I've noticed that you haven't mentioned yet if this was prequel or sequel.
We'll get to that in the next slide, but
Okay.
this being the fourth game in the series also noted like the first huge collaboratory like live stream event amongst various YouTubers who were doing theory crafting that Scott Cawthon actually participated in.
Okay.
So at this point,
So he was also theory crafting.
he was leaving them clues, essentially.
He had no idea and was just trying to build it. He's doing the DM strategy of let them give me the idea.
Because at this point, what the fans theorizing were using was the source code of the Scott Cawthon website, where they were finding like little lore bits and things like that mentioned in the source text, and that's what
just
Scott was doing.
That's insane.
To communicate.
It's like, oh, if you hack the game, I have little hints, and hack the website.
Yeah, literally, that's what people were doing. So here are our nightmare animatronics for this time.
Nightmare fuel for sure.
Yep.
All the teeth.
Oh,
so many teeth.
So many teeth. I don't remember if I have them in here, but there's our crying child.
No Foxy. Oh yeah, the nightmares that we were looking at.
Yeah.
Again, it's an even more dilapidated Freddie, Chico, and Bonnie.
Mm-hmm. Bonnie just has his chest open.
Yeah, chest just open.
There is a Foxy in there. He's in the closet.
He's in the closet.
Yeah, it to simulate Pirate Cove, but he's literally just a giant head. So I couldn't quite fit him into the slides.
Don't worry, we accept his sexuality. Sorry, their sexuality. I don't want to.
Oh no! All the mangled gender debates are coming back. Oh.
So, yeah, it's 3-1 that I'm looking at right now. They're even more dilapidated. Bonnie's chest is basically open, and they all have slightly glowing red eyes and rows of teeth. Like
so many teeth.
So many just jagged, sharp teeth.
Yeah, I don't recall if I have him in the slide deck, but the golden Freddy version of the animatronic has a mouth in its stomach.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm. So good. But yeah, here is our 8-bit crying child. Yep, there he is.
It's a child who's crying.
Sure is. So here are our important lore bits to note. So the game is set in 1983.
Right, so Fazbear's is open and...
Yeah, this is prior to the bite of 87.
Which would explain why the kid is afraid of the pizzeria down the street.
Mm-hmm. Well, the big bite hasn't happened yet. That's not going to happen for another 4 years. But there is, other stuff going on that this kid is afraid of for sure. So the mini games that we mentioned before show Fazbear Entertainment at its peak popularity. There are TV shows, toys, masks that people are wearing, and it's the go-to place for birthday parties. The crying child is accompanied by a Fredbear plush, notably a golden Freddy, which seems to talk to him.
Seems to?
Seems to. Like, it has a text box, but it will say things like, all your friends are here, and don't go back there, you know what will happen. Things like that.
Okay. Child's got issues.
Yep.
This is the child who grows up to create the fear place. Like,
well.
Oh, there's actually something.
So on the day of the party, the crying child is bitten by Golden Freddy in an event referred to as the Big Bite.
Oh, so it's him that was the big bite.
So this is not the bite of 87.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right.
This is a different bite scenario. There were two points in time at which people were bitten by animatronics, and they just kept going.
Huh. Okay.
So this leads to a new message from Fredbear, which is a very iconic piece of dialogue in the series, which is, I will put you back together.
does that even mean?
I Will Put You Back Together is very much like I Always Come Back. It's something that has become synonymous with the Five Nights franchise. Scott Cawthon's comments on this did lead to a controversial theory referred to as dream theory. This was part of the live streams where the things he was saying to the YouTubers in the live stream were like, what happens in shadows can be misunderstood in the eyes of a child and things like that. And one of the more damning pieces was, why would Toy Chica be missing her beak? And I unfortunately don't have an image of this, right? But the toy animatronics from FNAF 2. Remember we said that Chica looked a little bit weird.
Yeah.
When she's in her aggro mode, she loses her beak and her face is just a yellow faceplate with an open mouth. And during the minigame, you pass by this little girl who is playing with like Freddy Fazbear toys, like action figures, and she has a Chica and the beak has been broken off of it.
Okay.
People then took that to mean that the previous 3 games were all nightmares of the crying child. And that made some fans upset because nobody likes it was all a dream, right?
It's a bit of a cop-out when...
Exactly. There are also, similar to what happened in FNAF 1, where the surroundings would change every so often. This so happened here as well, in which occasionally next to the crying child's bed, you would see an IV drip or pills or things like that, implying that they're in the hospital. And that's why you have an angry alarm clock rather than a grandfather clock.
Okay.
So we have a couple of images in relation to this. So, sugar.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, first we have, here's our confirmation of the date. Freddy Fazbear and Friends, 1983. There's our Fredbear plush with glowing eyes. Nothing to be worried about, I'm sure. And then, yeah, here is the big bite of the poor crying child getting chomped on by Golden Freddy.
With a bunch of kids in the back with masks on.
Yeah, so this is the one in front, Foxy Bro over here. This is the crying child's brother. We see him throughout the mini games, and he and his friends, knowing that the crying child is afraid of the animatronics, being like, oh, go give Freddy a kiss. And they lift the kid up, and that's when the bite happens.
The child doesn't die here, does he?
It's implied that he dies here. And that's what the Fredbear plush means by I will put you back together.
Jeez.
Yep.
So these kids commit murder in a sense.
Essentially, manslaughter at the very least. Let's talk about the next installment, which is FNAF World.
What the heck is this? Why is this chibi looking?
Mm-hmm. And we still have the nightmares in the background. Yeah, FNAF World is a bit of a departure visually.
Oh, we still have the Chica in the underwear.
Yeah.
And we also
Choices.
have a white
Foxy?
cat.
That's Foxy.
Oh, it's a white Foxy.
Yeah, you can see that Mangle's up here.
Ugh.
There's the puppet. There's the Phantom puppet. All of our friends are here in FNAF World. So this was released on January 21st, 2016. It was supposed to come out February 2nd.
What? Okay.
Again, Scott Cawthon loves to release a game early, or at least he did. This was the first official spin-off of the franchise. It's a turn-based RPG.
So, I mean, it's one thing to keep using a similar system and building off it, but in this case, it's literally an entire...
It's a full departure.
And it's still only a couple of months later. It's ridiculous. How is some... And is he still a single person doing this?
Not anymore. We'll get to when things...
Oh, okay.
Where another group takes over. But at this point, he was doing it all by
That's
himself.
what I meant. Yeah, like in this one, he's still...
Yeah, at this point, it's still just him.
Okay,
The amount of work this takes.
Either this man had a lot of assets already that were just collecting dust, or he learned how to clone himself. One or the other.
Funny you say that. El Chip and Chip and Son characters do make a cameo appearance as bad guys in this game.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a turn-based RPG where the player goes around FNAF World recruiting all of these iconic characters, breaking the fourth wall a whole bunch. It was originally thought to be like a hoax or a PR stunt. Like nobody believed that this was real until it actually came out. It was actually temporarily removed from Steam because...
I don't believe it's real, and I'm looking at it.
Well, this is the thing. You mentioned earlier, like, were these games particularly buggy? FNAF World was. It was quite unstable when it first came out, so it was taken down and then was later put up for free on Game Jolt in February when it was originally meant to release.
Okay.
And then it was re-released on Steam also for free at a later date. It has since been permanently removed as of 2017, so you can't get this on Steam anymore.
Is it just because it was buggy, or they just didn't want it on it?
Scott hates FNAF World. He thinks it was a mistake. He regrets making it. I think FNAF World is actually quite interesting, just in terms of like a game design perspective, for reasons that I'll touch on now. So Scott Cawthon is actually the villain of the game. He made his icon into a boss, which is this thing here.
Okay.
So like it's very much like there's a lot of meta commentary in FNAF World, but it also has a cutscene that leads into an ending cutscene rather that leads into the next game directly, which is it shows a man apologizing for creating a robot named Baby before being killed by that robot.
Okay, that's strange.
Yeah. So here we have dead man at a desk. And then there's also a character called Old Man Consequences, who he's the one that chastises the player for like breaking it so thoroughly because you're going down and down and down into the code of the game.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's another character that, despite this being his first appearance, shows up in later installments, implying that he is of some importance. He kind of acts as a cautionary figure. So that's really all I have to talk about in terms of FNAF World. Like, it is very much kind of a blip in FNAF's history, both in terms of its lore implications, but also as a game in its meta commentary. I just find it interesting from a game design point of view that Scott got to a point where he decided, one, to nix the game entirely, but two, was at a point where he felt that he was a villain in his own world.
Yeah, it might give some insight into the psyche of this man.
Yeah. But the next game is Sister Location.
No numbers anymore.
Nope. We are fully going into subtitle titles.
So like spin-off series, basically?
It is not a spin-off series. It is the next continuation in the main story. We're just getting more imaginative with titles.
So it is 5, but just not numbered. Okay.
Exactly. So this game came out October 7th, 2016.
Oh,
actually came out on time.
So it's an anniversary.
It is, actually, yeah. It's the first fully voice-acted game in the main series.
Does that add or take away from the creepiness of the game?
Oh, 100% adds.
Okay.
100%.
Great.
One of my favorite voice actors, Kellen Goff, who you know from My Hero Academia as Overdrive. He is the voice of multiple renditions of Freddie.
Yeah, okay. I'm just imagining Overdrive's voice is this as this bear.
Okay, it's not like that, but you know.
Okay. I've had a lot of people actually say to me that I should start with Sister Location.
Yeah, I think Sister Location is actually a very good starting point. As a game, it's a lot better.
I mean, graphically and everything else, it probably would be better for me.
Yeah.
But if I played Sister Location, I definitely would not go back to the other games. So.
Yeah, well, that's what this crash course is for.
I suppose.
So it takes...
Sorry, I was just going to say, which we might be foreshadowing a little bit of what might be coming up.
So this one takes place at Circus Babies Entertainment and Rentals, and is the first game to introduce some free roam. You're still very much on a track, but rather than the others, which were purely point and click, where you're just in like one space, you're actually able to move around a little bit this time.
Yay, freedom to choose how you die.
Exactly. And of course, new location, new animatronics.
Yay, what monsters do we have this time?
Welcome, Circus Baby, Funtime Freddie and Funtime Foxy, Ballora and the Mini-Renas, and Ennard. This is also the first game released after the Silver Eyes novel series that Scott wrote, which again is related to the FNAF lore. and has direct correlations to the book, such as character names, etc.
Okay. Oy. They almost look like balloon sculptures, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, the proportions are very balloon animal-esque.
Yeah, and they're very rounded and stuff.
Yeah. There's also a lot of comparisons between these guys and the toy animatronics.
Yeah, it's very much circus.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a bear. I see Foxy, I guess.
Yeah, so this is Funtime Freddy, and you can see he's got a Bonnie puppet on his hand, which is Bonbon.
A Bonnie puppet called Bonbon. Okay. Yeah. Then we got this big...
That's Circus Baby, also known as Baby.
Sorry for creating Baby.
Yep.
Yeah. Please be sorry, because you should be.
Yep, and then we have Ballora there.
Which is the ballerina.
Mm-hmm. She's got little mini ballerinas with her too.
Yeah, that's weird looking.
Yeah, she never opens her eyes.
Oh, that's great.
We also have Ennard.
All right, I'm done. We're cool. We're good. I think the crash course has been successful. So we know everything we need to. We know everything we need to know.
No, we don't.
So that has been a
five
great
more games
episode.
to get through. No.
What do you mean 5 more games?
So this is Ennard. We're going to get to the implications of Ennard, but yeah, he's horrifying to look at.
I'm physically here. I don't know if I'm mentally here now.
So let's get to our lore. Things to note going forward. The exact year of this game is debated, but it's likely after the events of FNAF 4. I personally believe it takes place in between FNAF 4 and FNAF 2. So we're talking 1984 to 1986, thereabouts. So the game opens with audio overlaying, like looking at the animatronics, of a man named Mr. Afton being questioned about certain design choices in the game's animatronics.
I am also questioning a lot of design choices here.
Yes. I believe in the audio they ask, like, you know, can you explain some of these choices? And he's like, they dance, they sing, they can blow up balloons right at their fingertips. And they're like, yeah, that's not what we meant.
Oh, the idea of you saying they can blow up balloons from their fingertips has just given me other images that I'm like, what else could they do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Let's find out. So
no.
The player takes on the role of Mike, a new technician, also referred to in game as Eggs Benedict.
Not Call Guy.
Not Phone Guy.
Phone Guy. Sorry, Call Guy's a different guy. He's only available on weekends.
But don't forget, our first security guard we played as Mike Schmidt. So this is our second go-round as a Mike. So this game also has death mini-games, one of which depicts a young girl being captured by Baby, which changes Baby's eyes from blue to green.
Oh, God.
Indicating that she has now been possessed by the girl.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
What?
Eye color is now an important factor.
I did mention eye color of some of them in earlier games. Some of them were red, some of them were white.
Yellow is also a very common one. But based on the cutscene audio, the girl is Mr. Afton's daughter. So there's several cutscene audios that have like a young child going, Daddy, why won't you let me play with her? Didn't you make her just for me? And then she gets eaten, basically.
So the guy who designed the animatronics is his daughter?
That seems to be the case at this point, yeah. Mr. Afton.
What the actual... Okay. Trying very hard not to swear, but...
It's allowed.
No.
So, Ennard, as we've noted, looks horrendous, and there is a reason for that. Ennard is a collective of all of the animatronics. Ennard is a collective.
They are animatronics.
They are. Some of them are. He's a collective of all of the animatronics in the game as they attempt to leave. So, if you look back on the image that we had earlier, he's got multiple eyes throughout his body, including Babies, Balloras, Foxies, and Freddies, and they have become a hive mind consciousness in one body in the attempt to leave Circus Babies rentals.
Okay.
And in order to do that, they need some help. So Mike, who is at this point been lured in by a baby, in terms of like she's been asking for help the whole game.
How can they lure anyone in?
It's what they're designed to do. He attempts to help them, but as a result, gets scooped, and his body is taken over by Ennard. So this time we have an animatronic possessing a human.
Oh my god.
They literally bring him to a place called the scooping room, and a big arm just goes.
I think what's worse is that because I don't know what's happening in the game, I'm just going by your descriptions and stuff like this. My mind is making this so much worse.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not great. He somehow lives through this process, however. Not sure how.
I was going to mention it earlier, going, oh, Ennard. It kind of sounds like Innard.
Yep.
I wish I said that now.
You did, just now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Mike somehow lives through the scooping process, and when Ennard leaves his body, he gets control back. And he is surprised by this.
How is he alive?
He doesn't know. But a cutscene from the super hard ending confirms that Mike is...
Super hard.
It confirms that Mike is Afton's son.
Oh, God.
And is likely the person who burnt down Fazbear Frights at the end of FNAF 3. Because when this audio is playing, and it's very, again, like it's so, like we aren't messing around anymore. We are giving you direct information. Because the audio goes, "Father, it's me, Michael. I did it. I found it. It was right where you said it would be. They were all there. They didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you. I found her. I put her back together, just like you asked me to."
Who's her?
Her, in this case, seems to be Baby, which, in this case, would be Mike's sister.
Jesus.
And all of this audio is being played over a burnt down building in which Springtrap then pops up.
Oh my God.
So we now have Mike, his sister, and his father, Mr. Afton.
Next game?
Not quite. I have a couple of images for you here. This also implies that Afton is Springtrap, is the purple guy, is the killer of the missing children's incident.
I'm not, no. I'm out.
Yeah. Again, like the audio with Michael like ends up with like, "Something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not. I've been living in the shadows. There is only one thing left for me to do. I'm going to come find you." Talking to his father, which is again when Springtrap pops up. So here's Baby eating a child.
What?
Just, "Oh, hello, little girl. How'd it go?"
Okay.
So that's little girl Afton getting scooped there. And here's the life cycle of Michael Afton and Ennard ejecting himself from his body.
This is just getting ridiculous.
We're long past ridiculous. So the next game then is Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator.
Is this another spin-off or is this just a different title?
Well, that's an interesting question. So this released in December of 2017. That's a large gap in between the games now. Finally, he's given himself a break.
You call that a large gap?
Well, larger than a few months. So it was a free stealth release of FNAF 6, which had allegedly been cancelled earlier in 2017. And as you noted from the first image that we had, you asked, is this a spin-off? Because people thought it was going to be another FNAF World situation.
Yeah, it looks like a spin-off. And also when you have like simulator in the name, it
Exactly.
sounds like a different game.
And even now, if you look at the Steam page, where it's still available for free, none of the images put up by Cawthon indicate what the game actually is.
Serious?
Seriously, yeah. It's still like marketed as a a managerial simulator of a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Which actually sounds interesting, I guess.
Yeah, and that is like the core of the gameplay, to be honest. Like, you still have to buy things for your pizzeria.
So it is still actually...
Yeah.
Okay.
But there is, some Five Nights shenanigans in there. Because, in fact, it's actually a massive lore dump and the apparent resolution to what we're going to refer to as the Afton Saga. So it's kind of like the end of this chapter of FNAF's lore.
Right. So he's finally pieced it all together for himself.
He put the pieces back together. So each night, after you do all of your managerial stuff, you have to go into the back alley and salvage any animatronics found there, which includes 4 new animatronics: Scrap Baby, Molten Freddy, Scrap Trap, and Lefty.
Why are they just in the alley?
We'll get to that.
All right.
But here's our 4 new animatronics.
I recognize one of them.
Which one is that?
The Scrap Baby.
Yep, we have Scrap Baby there. She's got roller skates now.
Yeah.
We've got Molten Freddy. We have Scrap Trap, who should also look familiar. And then we've got Lefty. So we'll get into why they are who they are. Yeah?
Why is Lefty colored like that?
Well, he's, similar to the other Freddy animatronics. He looks a lot like Toy Freddy, actually, and Funtime Freddy. But yeah, he is a special case that we'll get to in just a moment.
Okay.
So things to note. This takes place after FNAF 3. Likely also in 2023, maybe early 2024.
Yeah, so FNAF 3 was the latest in the series in terms of the...
chronological timeline, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the Fazbear Frights. There are several mini-games in this game, which indicates or shows innocence of the past. Afton luring in his first victim dressed as Golden Bonnie. The security puppet failing to protect a child who is then killed by Afton and becoming possessed by that child.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. We also learn that Circus Baby was excommunicated from the Ennard Collective, and that's why we now have Scrap Baby. She's built herself a new body.
What?
Mm-hmm. So she's no longer part of Ennard. They kicked her out. And that was part of the source code stuff that Scott Cawthon was doing, where he had 2 of his websites arguing with one another in their source code.
What the hell?
Which led to Baby getting kicked out.
But, okay. We'll continue.
Yep.
Let's go.
Ennard then becomes Molten Freddy. So rather than having his circus face anymore, he now has a Freddy head, indicating that Funtime Freddy is like the main consciousness in the body now.
Okay.
So that's why Scrap Baby and Molten Freddy are here. Lefty is a capture unit designed to contain the puppet.
What? Okay.
So Lefty is a very specific animatronic, and this is something that you can only really see in one screenshot of the game. I don't believe I have it in the slides, where you can just see the black and white striped legs of the puppet poking through various aspects of Lefty's body.
Oh my God.
And that's how we learned that's what Lefty was meant to do.
So when was Lefty made?
Lefty was made very, very recently by the Cassette Man, who leaves us tapes. They're the location owner. We're the new manager. And that confirms the following. The pizzeria was actually a trap to lure all the animatronics into one location and destroy them via fire.
Which is the burning of the building.
Yep. This is also why Lefty, designed by the Cassette Man, is designed to capture the puppet, to bring it to this location.
Okay.
We also learn at this point that Scrap Baby's real name was Elizabeth.
Let me guess. Elizabeth Afton or whatever.
Afton, yeah.
Afton, okay.
Elizabeth Afton. Because the ending cutscene starts with her kind of jeering at the player, saying like, "I'll make you proud, Daddy," right? Referring to Scrap Trap, Spring Trap, Afton. And then Cassette Man comes in and goes, I'm sorry, Elizabeth, but actually, no, we've trapped you here, in fact. The player is Mike Afton again.
Okay.
And there is a point in Cassette Man's speech where he goes, my brave volunteer, there was a way out for you, but it appears that you wish to stay, and I commend you for your bravery.
I'm honestly lost. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, we'll get back to it. We'll circle back. The Cassette Man was an old friend of Afton's, and this comes from one of the hardest pieces of dialogue I think has ever been said, and has been used a whole lot. The darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole, so don't keep the devil waiting, old friend.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the child possessing the puppet is Cassette Man's daughter.
I don't know what I'm contributing to this anymore.
Okay, so you have questions. Let's get to the questions on this section.
There's too many.
All right.
So I'm just trying to piece together the different connections of all the people, and like, this is this man's daughter, and this is
I have
this
I have
happened.
a slide specifically at the end that will go through this bit by bit. But to keep it straight, Springtrap was the purple guy,
Yes.
who is Mr. Afton. We're going to learn later on that his name is William Afton, so we're going to call him that.
So Mr. Afton was the man who ended up getting caught in the Springtrap suit.
Yes,
Okay,
he is the
but
killer.
he didn't die.
He didn't die. He lived somehow.
And Afton is the man who originally made the animatronics.
Yes, or at the very least, he made some of them. The others were made by Cassette Man. They were business partners.
Okay, and he made them with the purpose of killing people?
Afton did, yeah. They were to capture children.
Okay, and I'm sure there's reason for that. But
Yes.
all right. And he had children, Mr. Afton.
3.
3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they were in on this?
They weren't in on it. They became unfortunate byproducts of it. So he has his daughter, Elizabeth, who gets captured by Baby. He's got his son, Mike, who gets scooped by Ennard. And then he has his other son, the crying child, who was bitten by Golden Freddy.
And so there's 2 purple men now?
Yeah, the fictional Purple Man, which is Springtrap, William Afton, and the literal Purple Man, decaying body of Michael Afton.
Who is the playable character?
Who is the player character, yeah. And now, keep in mind that 2 of the other games had you fired because of odor.
Yeah.
So if you were a man with a decaying body, you probably don't smell great.
Okay. But so what is Mike doing now?
Mike has been going to each location of Freddy Fazbear's and burning them down, or tampering with the animatronics, trying to release the spirits inside.
So he's trying to rectify what his dad
His
did?
dad did, yeah.
Okay. And why is Cassette Man referring to him as in you had a way out? Or no, he was referring to
He was referring to Michael in that case. Because the point of the pizzeria, simulator pizzeria, it is that it's a trap that is designed to contain the animatronics and burn the place down afterwards. If another person were to apply for that job and obviously wanted to live, they could do so. They could leave after doing what Cassette Man asked them to do. But because Mike Afton is so entrenched in all of this, and again, he is somehow living, this is kind of his resting place as well. And so he does not leave. And you die in the fires with the animatronics.
Right. And Cassette Man had a daughter.
Yes.
And
Who was killed by Afton in one of the... We've seen this in actually 2 mini-games in this game and in a previous game. And remember, the security puppet failed to protect a child who was killed by Afton and is then possessed by that child.
the security puppet is possessed by the child.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's the puppet. And there's actually, again, a note here that says, "My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die. No one was there to lift you up in their arms the way that you lifted others into yours.
God, this game is getting insane.
Right? We started off with just like, oh, creepy animatronics.
Okay.
Now here we are. So we have Afton here in his Bonnie costume with his first victim. This is the girl that goes on to possess Chica.
Okay, damn. And his first victim, like...
His first victim. Here we have the security puppet and Cassette Man's daughter trapped outside. And the puppet like attempts to bring her back in. And this is the end screen that we get if we get the Lore Keeper ending. Because again, multiple endings in these games now. And we have gravestones at the front. We also have one on the hill back here. And these are believed to be the animatronics possessed by the dead kids, right? So the one on the hill is supposed to be the puppet overviewing them all. And the one behind the grass here that we don't have a name for is Golden Freddy.
Right.
And it's believed, based on the locations of these gravestones, when compared to the ending screens where in FNAF 3, where we had like the animatronic heads lit up.
Yeah.
That Gabriel is Freddie, Fritz is Foxy, Susie is Chica, and Jeremy is Bonnie.
Right. Okay.
And you'll notice we've been a Jeremy anyways, and we've been Fritz before. So the Jeremy connection is a little tenuous. People do think that there's multiple characters named Jeremy in this franchise. Another one's going to come up later as well. But Fritz coming up, people believe that the second security guard in FNAF 2, the one that was fired due to odor, is Mike under a false name that he took, that being Fritz.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is like, we're at the most lore this game can be right now. And then we get on to Ultimate Custom Night, which was another game that was released for free.
Oh, this is just a straight up game?
This is just a straight up game. It was released in June 2018. It was meant to be like a post-launch add-on to Pizzeria Simulator in the same way that all of the other games have a custom night that you can mess with.
Yeah.
However, it was just released again. You can get it for free on Steam, and it has every character in it. There are 51 animatronics in this game that you can set to come after you.
I mean, I thought there were 6 or 7 characters at this.
51. And again, similar to the previous title, there are huge lore implications hidden throughout. This is confirmed through like the animatronics have voice lines if they're the ones to kill you at the end. And one of Chica's is, "I was the first. I have seen everything." And these voice lines also imply that Afton is stuck in purgatory / hell, and that you are playing as William Afton at this point.
What? Okay.
There are several animatronics that refer to the one you should not have killed in their voice lines, which seemingly means Golden Freddy.
Yeah, and always the Easter egg, always obscured.
Uh-huh.
And golden kind of gives you the idea of like good, or at least like the star.
Yeah. And there are a series of animatronics that were introduced in the previous game. Again, they're not anything of consequence, or at least they weren't at the time, called the Mediocre Melodies. And they occasionally, in their voice lines, get taken over by a threatening voice, which is refusing to let Afton go. So, like, the animatronics have their own voice lines. For example, the frog one has a line that has been used quite a lot in TikTok audio, where it's like, they turn their back, and then I'm like, boo, or whatever. Like, just, silly little things, because they're the Mediocre Melodies and nobody cared. But every now and again, you get one that has an overlay of a whispery voice, and they say things like, he tried to release you, they tried to release us, but I won't let that happen. I will hold you here. I will keep you here, no matter how many times they burn us.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that is apparently the one that you should not have killed, speaking through the Mediocre Melodies. And another thing is Old Man Consequence disappears in this game, and he encourages apparently Golden Freddy, to leave the demon to his demons. Again, referring to Afton. And we don't really know a whole lot confirmed about the one you should not have killed. But again, during the end screens where the mediocre melodies are speaking all creepy, you brighten that image and we get this face in the background.
That's just freaky.
Yep.
It's a child?
It's always a child.
I mean, yeah, but like... Oh, that's terrifying. It reminds me of one of Batman's villains.
Oh, a little bit, yeah. It has, like, just because of how the
cheekbones.
Yeah, because of, like, this has been brightened and contrasted and, like, inversed and all the rest of it to get to this point already. So, yeah, this is nightmare fuel, to be sure.
I'm not comfortable.
But again, Ultimate Custom Night has lore implications, but it's not a full game. The next full game is Help Wanted.
That's not the latest one. The latest one is...
So after this, we have Security Breach and then Help Wanted 2.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know it was a Help Wanted 2, but Security Breach was then, to my knowledge, was the
most recent one, yeah.
Most recent, yeah.
But yeah, Help Wanted is also known as FNAF VR.
Alright, so no one cares about it.
No, actually a lot of people care about it.
Yeah, I can imagine this game in VR is freaking terrifying.
Yeah, it was released in May 28th, 2019, and a non-VR version was put out in December of that year as well.
Oh, okay, so there's a non-VR version.
Yeah, but like there was so many. Again, this really reignited people doing Let's Plays of FNAF because you are playing through a VR version of the first 5 games, which includes you needing to like spin around and like close the doors and things.
The first 5 games? Mm-hmm. Like Help Wanted is...
Help Wanted is like an in-depth VR version of FNAF 1, 2, 3, 4, and Sister Location.
That's insane.
Yeah. It's not exactly like one for one. The closest one to that is Five Nights at Freddy's 1, in which you can, if you walk out of the room, Foxy just gets you. But this is the first game that was developed by another company, that being Steel Wool Studios, in tandem with Cawthon. So this is the first one where he's not doing it by himself and is actually taking a back seat.
Interesting.
And in terms of like, you know, story in the game, the player is a QA tester testing a game for release in the world of the franchise.
God's sake.
The lore keeps going. So, things to note going forward. The game is believed to be set in the late 2020s. So we're talking 2027 to 2029, thereabouts.
Future.
The future. The game begins by denouncing all previous installments as incorrect depictions of the real events by a rogue indie developer, at which point a real-life picture of Scott Cawthon flashes up.
What the frick?
This man loves to make fun of himself.
So previous installments are inaccurate.
Yeah, according to Fazbear Entertainment.
Okay.
So this game is developed by Fazbear Entertainment to spin the narrative in their favor. Because when you have a series of games saying that a bunch of kids died at your pizzeria and maybe one of your founders was the murderer, that's not going to do well with your test audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the game, you can find hidden tapes. We love tapes. We love cassettes. That have been left by a previous tester who reveals that Fazbear Entertainment actually hired the indie developer to make the games that they're now denouncing in an effort to discredit the rumors around the company's history.
Right.
So we're going like several levels deep on this.
Where I'm just lost. So
this is all very, it's very much filler. The important things are there is malicious code within the game that takes the form of a yellow rabbit referred to as Glitch Trap.
I've heard of Glitch Trap.
Yes. And Glitch Trap is implied to be an AI based off of Afton's consciousness.
Because that's what you need in the
That's
world.
exactly what you want. And collecting all of the tapes allows Glitchtrap to take over the player and escape into the real world.
What?
Yep.
Your reward is that you get taken over and you release basically evil into the world.
Yeah, in I think 2 of the 3 endings you can get, he like escapes through you. And then the 3rd one, he just traps you there forever.
So messed up.
Incredibly messed up. In the non-VR version, you can gain access to a computer where you can find emails to a woman named Vanessa or Vanny. And you also find a rabbit mask that was added in DLC, suggesting that she was the one taken over by Glitchtrap originally.
Right.
So here's Glitchtrap.
Oh, it's the Cadbury Bunny.
Doesn't he look like the Cadbury Bunny?
It's a he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is a he. But like, it's a weird amalgamation of, it's got references obviously to Springtrap, and it's got purple on it because of Purple Guy.
Man, or Purple Guy, whatever, yeah.
Yeah. But it's also very much an actual suit. Like, I find Glitchtrap a lot more unsettling than Springtrap, personally. And then we also have the Vanny mask, which will be important in the games further down the line.
Good to know.
Speaking of, Security Breach is our next installment.
This is a breach of my mental stability.
So this is another game that was made by Steel Wool. It came out in December 2021. And this is a full Steel Wool title. It was also the first AAA installment. Like, this was announced at the PlayStation State of Play. Like, we're no longer in indie territory anymore.
Yeah, which you could argue, like, does it lose? A lot of people argue, like, oh, AAA titles don't have the same soul and stuff as indie titles.
The fact that Steel Wool are working with Afton on this, and like...
Afton?
Oh no! They're working with Cawthon on this, who is like been writing books and developing a movie and all this at the same time. I think it makes more sense for another company to take over at this stage. And
Especially
people,
at the size that it's becoming. Like,
yeah, and people love Security Breach, so I think it's only a net positive. But yeah, and again, this is no longer a point and click; it's a full free roam survival horror game.
probably a lot. I mean, I'm not into horror at all. I have quite the active imagination.
Yeah.
And stuff like this really gets to my anxiety. But if I was playing this game, I would prefer a full free roam to point and click.
Yeah. You're no longer trapped in a single room. And the other thing is, despite the name, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, the game only takes place over one night.
That repeats 5 times.
You've got to do a whole lot in that one night, but, you know. And, of course, we have new animatronics and our first human characters.
Wait, yeah, we haven't actually had a human character.
Exactly. And now we do. Isn't that fun?
That's somehow worse.
Like, we've had names of people thrown out at us. We've seen 8-bit people. But now we actually have 3D modeled human characters for the first time.
So we get to watch them get taken over.
Yeah. So
I was
we have,
joking, do they?
Well, we have our glam rock animatronics. The day.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen these guys for sure.
Yeah. What's the Freddy's name? The 80s? Glam Rock Freddy.
Glam Rock Freddy,
It's
yeah.
called Glam Rock Freddy, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We have the daycare attendant. We also have the servo bots, which will pop up now and again. They're not hugely important.
Greg.
Gregory, yeah. Gregory, Vanessa, and Vanny. Vanny, you remember, we mentioned in Help Wanted. So here are our glam rocks.
Yep.
You'll notice that 2 of these people are very, very different to those we have seen previously. So we've got Glamrock Chica, we've got Glamrock Freddy, we've got Roxy,
It was definitely not.
Roxy Wolf, and we've got Monty the alligator, Monty Gator.
Okay. So they're in Florida.
I believe the games are meant to take place in Utah, but I don't know enough about American geography to dispute it one way or the other. So yeah, look at them. Aren't they cool?
Yeah, I don't. Does that Chica have a bubble? Anyway.
Look, she's all great now, and she's a white chick now, so she's more chicken-like? Question mark?
Yeah, I'm just. It looks like Chica has certain anatomy parts that make me think that Chica's not a girl.
Oh, I can see that. Oh no. Oh, that light should not be shining there. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Well, there she is in the background as well. She's not doing too hot. And we also have our daycare attendant.
Who would have that as a daycare attendant?
There are many angry emails that you find from parents asking that very same question. So we have Sun and Moon, our daycare attendant, who he switches between the two. Lights on, you get Sun. Lights off, you get Moon.
Oh, woo.
Also voiced by Kellen Goff.
So, yeah, the creators of this game just don't like children.
No.
Right.
No, you can't enjoy this franchise and like kids. And then we have our human characters. We've got Gregory, we have Vanessa, and we've got Vanny. And you can see it's the Vanny mask again. So Vanessa is our security guard, but we play as Gregory.
Okay.
Small child.
Van is weird.
Vanny.
Vanny.
Yeah, I don't like her.
Like, strangely, like, so creepy, but also strangely, not gonna say it.
No. Right. So I'm not going to go into too much in terms of the story of Security Breach because it's still a relatively new game in the series. It's only been out a few years. But things to note going forward.
It's really out a few years now?
Yeah, it came out in 2021.
Jeez. Okay, yeah.
And the DLC came out last year.
That's what I'm thinking of. I thought, yeah, the DLC.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the game...
Okay. Yep. All good. Well, we can't talk about it then.
No. Okay, so again, just important things to note. The game is set in 2035 at the Mega Pizzaplex. Fazbear's has made a comeback.
Speaking of which, isn't there a rumor that Token here in Dublin is becoming a pizzeria?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that for reasons.
And it's supposed to actually be like an arcade, or not an arcade, but like a...
I would love for there to be a Fazbear's Pizza in Dublin for absolutely no reason. That would be hilarious.
Yeah. I want to look into that more. I wonder if that rumor has any truth to it.
But yeah, as I said, the player takes on the role of Gregory, who is a child who has been locked into the Pizzaplex after its closing.
On purpose?
Well, that's been hotly debated.
More murder.
Glamrock Freddie is the only non-hostile animatronic and is actually Gregory's protector.
For reasons?
Way to go, superstar. Like, that's the thing that you will hear a lot.
This is actually Golden Freddy.
Well, we'll see that. So the animatronics are AI-based and fully electronic.
Right.
Each animatronic seems to represent a mental illness, excluding the robots. As I said, they just kind of show up and either creep you out or like give you maps to the new areas and things. So Freddy seems to represent a savior complex. This is me fully getting onto my own theories now.
Oh, okay. Well, the thing about savior complexes is they tend to create the situations in which they have to save people. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Chica is eating disorders because she has, like, her whole thing is she's promoting eating food at the pizzeria, but she's also like a fitness model.
Right.
And so one of the things that you'll find with her is she will be going around eating out of the garbage. When she's in free roam, she will just like be in the kitchen eating out of the garbage, and like it's awful. Like, it's honestly really, really like terrifying.
Yeah.
Roxy Wolf has severe imposter syndrome, where she's talking to herself in the mirror, like telling herself how terrible she is at everything and how nobody likes her, and then getting mad at herself for like not thinking she's the best.
That one's quite terrifying.
Yeah. And the Monty Gator is violent tendencies. his room is completely sealed off. There are emails that you'll find where he's destroyed entire parts of the Pizzaplex and needs to be separated from the kids.
Jeez.
And then the daycare attendant, as I've mentioned, he is both sun and moon and seems to represent DID, or multiple personality disorder.
Okay.
Because again, they're both aware of each other's presence, but they cannot influence the other. And they will be taken over even against their will. A glam rock body.
A glam rock body?
No, well, there's several of those. But a glam rock Bonnie did exist, but was replaced by Monty. You'll find there's a bowling alley with all of Bonnie's iconography on it, but he's not in the band, and you can't find a physical representation of him. And when asked about it, Glamrock Freddie says, Bonnie was my best friend, I miss him.
Oh my god, I knew there'd be a lore reason for why he's not there.
Right now, as far as I can tell with my research, it's unconfirmed whether or not Vanessa and Vanny are the same person. Gregory's running away from both of them, but Vanny is the one influencing the animatronics to go after him, whereas Vanessa just wants him out of the pizzeria completely.
Right, okay.
So there was a Ruin DLC, which was released in July of last year. It takes place after the events of Security Breach, 2035 to 2036, thereabouts. Has a new character, Cassie, who was called to a ruined version of the Pizzaplex by Gregory, who is seemingly still trapped there.
How is he still trapped?
Excellent question. Again, there are multiple endings in the main game of Security Breach, so I'm not entirely sure which one's been confirmed as canon based on the DLC.
Yeah, it's the issue when you have multiple endings. It's which one becomes the canon one for the next game.
Yeah. But this game, or the DLC rather, is used to tie up loose ends and set up lore for upcoming titles. Because we're now fully in the Steel Wool era of the games. And so this is the poster that was released. Again, it was a free old DLC. We love that. And you can see we've got a Freddie head here. We have Gregory on all these cameras. And we've got Cassie in the center. And we also have, here's what Cassie looks like.
Okay.
Our first female protagonist. Isn't that nice? And then this is the most recent title, Help Wanted 2. So this is incredibly bare bones. This came out December of last year, 2023. Also developed by Steel Wool. Similar to the previous Help Wanted, it's a VR game that revisits events of the recent installments, including Security Breach. We can see Moon there being creepy in the background. And the events of Help Wanted 2 are directly linked to the Rune DLC. These are two games that are in conversation with one another.
Right. Okay. Yep.
But again, because this game is so recent, I've not gone into the story implications of it yet. But that's all of the titles. So we're going to do a little bit of a wrap up here to help you make sense of it. Both you, JoJo, and you, the listener. So...
Well, I know my brain's fried. So.
Yeah. So we have 10 main series game titles with an 11th coming out next year in 2025. There have been 54 books.
Does this guy sleep?
No. 3 novels, which was the Silver Eye novels I mentioned earlier. There have also been 21 Fazbear Frights anthologies, which is Goosebumps, but make it FNAF. And then there's various other books that are activity log books and things like that.
Okay, so 54 is a little embellished in what you're thinking.
Probably. This is what, if you look up how many FNAF books are there, you will get 54. But I know that more Fazbear Fright anthologies have been released since I've made this presentation. So,
yeah.
And again, there was a movie out last year, and a second one is in the works. I personally really enjoyed the movie. It's very much inspired by the games as opposed to a direct adaptation. The main character's name is Mike. The animatronics are all there. There is a character named William Afton, but it's not a one-for-one copy. So, important things to know just during this meta part of the wrap-up is the lore of the books appear to inform the games and vice versa. That's how we're able to get certain information before it appears in the games. Like the name William Afton appeared in the Silver Eye novels before Afton was ever mentioned in Sister Location. And as I said, the movie uses core aspects, names, locations, but tells its own story. And the franchise, as we all know, is insanely popular with both children and adults and has spawned numerous fan projects and fan games.
All right, so that's everything?
Almost. I have a timeline here just to kind of like, we were indicating how quick the turnaround of these games are. So you can see starting in late 2014 and going on to 2025, which is when The Secret of the Mimic, the next Steel Wool game is going to be coming out, is. But you can tell just by looking at this, we've got the main titles in big blocks and then spin-off titles, most of which I did not mention, in their own little spaces. You can see how quick these games were coming out within like their first couple of years. And thankfully, I think most people will agree, it's rapidly slowed down from like 2019 on. Because as you said, like, when does this guy sleep? But I find it fascinating how far this franchise came in such a short space of time.
I mean, I guess it is technically a short space of time. Like, when you think about that, it's 10 years?
10 years.
Yeah, so, like, there's a lot of companies, both indie and AAA, that can only dream of having the success that FNAF has.
Yeah, and a lot have tried to mimic that success, which I think is what we're going to be talking about in our next episode. Mimic.
What?
No, the next game is called Secret of the Mimic. But yeah, we also have our lore wrap up, which I mentioned earlier. So Purple Guy / Springtrap is William Afton. We got his name from the novels. He's got 3 children, Michael, Elizabeth, and the Crying Child. Ballora is likely inspired by his wife, but her status isn't confirmed one way or the other.
You didn't actually talk about that. Okay.
Yeah, Ballora, she's such an anomaly in the scope of the animatronics. The reason people think she's likely inspired by Afton's wife is her voice lines are like, you wanted to let me in, I could have helped you, I'm stuck in my own, like.
Also, you mentioned that her eyes are always closed.
Her eyes are always closed.
So it's like looking away from it, like not looking at it.
Yeah, and she does...
Blind, you could say, blind to what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. The main piece of dialogue that people refer to goes, "Why do you hide inside your walls when there is music in my halls? All I see is an empty room, no more joy, an empty tomb. It's so good to sing all day, to dance, to spin, to fly away." So people are taking that to mean this is the wife who has left him after the death of their kids, basically.
Okay. Fair.
So Cassette Man, who we referred to earlier, is named Henry Emily. And again, that name is also taken from the books. And there's like little bit of lore implication that I didn't mention during Pizzeria Simulator that like shows the name like Henry. Henry was Afton's business partner and creator of the main animatronics. His daughter, Charlie, was killed by Afton and possesses the puppet. Charlie is another name that we get from the books. The Crying Child was killed by the Big Bite in 1983. We don't have a confirmed name for him yet.
You think the Crying Child could possibly be Golden Freddy?
That is one of the main theories about Golden Freddy, yeah. Golden Freddy is either the Crying Child or a young girl named Cassidy. Because, remember, the one you should not have killed, Afton didn't kill the Crying Child. He was killed in an accident. But again, we don't have a lot of confirmed information about the Crying Child yet. I think right now the big theory is that his name is Dave or David. But again, that's been back engineered a whole lot. It's not like Elizabeth and Michael, which we got via cutscenes. Speaking of, Elizabeth is Afton's daughter and is killed by Circus Baby, later possessing her. And Michael is scooped by Ennard, but survives. He becomes the night guard in the majority of the games, burning down each location to free any spirits / re-kill his dad at the end of Ultimate Custom Night. It is believed that Michael later possesses Glamrock Freddy, or at the very least his consciousness is what's used for the Glamrock Freddy AI.
Okay.
Again, I'm not going to go too much into security breach, but there are things that Freddy says in that game that makes people think that it's Michael. And the lore of Gregory, Vanessa, and Cassidy is still widely debated at this point. Some people think that Gregory is a robot. Some people really don't believe that it's a whole thing. And similarly, I've got a timeline here of when I believe each game goes. There are so many different versions of this timeline out on the internet, but The Secret of the Mimic is the next game coming out. That's confirmed to take place in 1979. And then,
okay.
Yeah.
That's so before everything.
The very first installment in terms of lore at the moment. And then we knock around in the 80s, FNAF 4, FNAF 2, and then I believe Sister Location takes place in between those two, as I mentioned earlier. Five Nights 5 in 1993, and then we have FNAF 3 and Pizzeria Simulator taking place in 2023, Help Wanted in the late 2020s, and then Help Wanted 2 and Security Breach and the Ruin DLC all happening in the 2030s.
All right.
So we're spanning multiple decades, both in terms of lore and a whole decade in terms of meta. And that is the Five Nights at Freddy's crash course.
And I'm crashing. I mean, I didn't realize there was so much to...
Yeah, it's
FNAF.
deceptive. It's deceptive for sure.
All right, then if that's what our episode is about, and we're done the episode.
Do you have any... I know that obviously you feel drained by this process because you don't like scary things. We had to take a break halfway through for you to kind of mellow yourself out.
And I know there's probably a lot of people going, it's not even scary. What are you talking about? But like,
yeah,
it just fills me with anxiety just thinking about the situations and scenarios, because I guess it's probably a form of empathy.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. I feel myself in these situations way more than I should.
Because again, on the surface of it, you just go, it's haunted animatronics trying to kill a player. That's basic stuff. And then when you actually start looking into it, the weirder and weirder it gets.
Yeah, and I can deal with gore. I can deal with, like, that kind of horror. But when it comes to psychological stuff or like really like messed up in the head kind of stuff, that really gets to me.
Yeah, no one likes dead kids.
There's that too.
Yeah, this was a big undertaking by me as well to put all of this together, because it's one thing to, as I say, be a casual observer of the outside. Like, I knew a lot of this stuff off the top of my head, but when I actually started doing the work and like looking into it, reading the fan wikis, watching the theory videos and things like that, and I started remembering like, oh god, this stuff actually went as far back as like the second installment. That's insane.
Yeah.
From a story writing perspective.
So will you have the slides that we looked at today? Are you going to post a link to these online?
I will actually, yeah. They are hosted on my Google Drive, so I will make them available to view if people have the link. So we'll have that in the show notes. We're also going to be putting this out as a video version of the podcast prior to the other ones I've been working on. I think this one more so requires the visuals than anything else we've talked about, really.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, this did take a lot of work, so we'd really appreciate any support that you can give us. Any engagement really helps a lot. Leave comments, share. We want to hear all your discussions about what your theories are. And it's because of the complications we've had with our hardware and other things that are getting in the way. This has been basically a week late.
Yeah, apologies about that.
So we're not going to be able to kind of catch up as such, and this episode will be basically covering 2 weeks of podcast.
But as you all know, you can follow us on social media at Irish Nerdcast. Please tune in to our live streams on YouTube as well. Subscribe if you're not already to be notified of when we go live.
Yeah, and I will be getting back to streaming a lot more regularly, or just setting it up that I was initially going to be on camera, and yeah, we had issues. So my first camera appearance is coming up, and we're going to be streaming a few different games. I think we're still continuing with Zenless until at least we caught up in the updates and stuff. And I'm thinking of the RimWorld playthrough, doing a sort of horror version of that.
That'd be fun.
Using the like anomaly stuff, so going into the Cthulhu, blood sacrifice, all that stuff. Yeah.
And of course, if you feel so inclined, you can support us over on Patreon. We also have a Discord that you can join as well.
Very soon. And with that, I'm JoJo.
I'm Hannah.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Song the Fold.